Thank you so much for joining us on Rising Through. This is a podcast where we explore the struggle as being part of the recipe to your success. What I have learned is that no successful person gets there without having a story. I know when I was really in the thick of it, it was podcasts, it was hearing other successful people's story that really got me through some dark times. And so if this can help you level up, feel hope, and get to the next place in your success story, I hope that this is what we will give you today. And so today we have Takeria Sullivan. She is an amazing lady making waves in the insurance industry, and she has an amazing story. And I am really excited for you guys to meet her today. So Takeria Sullivan, you're in Jersey. Is that where you are?
Yes, Jersey.
Woo-hoo!
Jersey girl, best in the world. Woohoo!
Jersey girl, but not Jersey Shore. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct. I'm in North Jersey. Yes.
Okay, so you're in it with a company. You recently got a big promotion, but I hear that it took you like 15 years. Like you've been hustling and grinding in insurance for 15 years, and you've sort of just reached this moment of success. First of all, like what even got you into the insurance industry?
Well, many years ago, Colleen, my mom and my aunt, they became insurance agents, right? And they came home one day. They was working with a company that start with P, ends with A,
Okay.
and they said, "I think you'll be good at this." And I was like, "I don't really want to do that." And I was working in finance at the time in banking, and it was like, "No, I'm telling you, people's person, you're gonna love it." So they joined the business and they said, just come to a meeting one day. And I went to a meeting and I was just so in awe, just the energy of everyone that was there. And I was like, oh my gosh, like what is going on? And I was like, I think I actually like it. And I joined up and I became an insurance agent. And that was 15 years ago.
That's amazing. And you were working in banking. What were you doing in
Mhm.
the banking industry?
I originally started off as a teller and then I became a customer service representative and I would do mortgages. I started doing different things on the customer service side, working my way up to become a
Right.
assistant branch manager. But then I got a job. Someone came and said, no, my boss will love you. Come work at his property. He owned 27 properties between New York and New Jersey, residential. And I used to do all accounts payable for all properties. And
Wow.
I worked there.
So what made
Yeah.
you want to do something for yourself? When people look at banking, they look at a job like that and they think, wow, you've really made it. You're got this steady paycheck. People always think banking is really highly paid. I have come to learn it is really not.
It's really not. Okay. It
So
just
is
looks
that one of the
good.
reasons why you wanted to do something different, or what was it something that you wanted out of life that banking couldn't give you?
Yeah. I always wanted to do something different. I just always have a sense of wanting more all the time. And growing up, my parents was entrepreneurs.
Oh,
At the time, being a young girl, I didn't look at it like that. But my dad had his own plumbing. Even though he had a 9 to 5, he had a separate plumbing job that he would do work for the people in the neighborhood, for reasonable prices. And then my mom, she owned a shoe store in a affluent neighborhood where she was like the first Black woman. So
wow.
it was amazing. So growing up in high school, it was like, oh, let's go to TT Mom's shoe store. And I really didn't take it in like that. But as I got older and really starting to, wanting to do something different, wanting to do something bigger for myself and also, my family, I just was like, that was amazing. My mother really did that. Like, she
Yeah.
really owned her own business for years. And
That,
so I always had, I believe, that entrepreneur spirit in me.
right. What do you think give your parents the like bravery to do that? I mean, that, like you said, she was the first Black woman owned shoe store in your area. Your dad had
Mhm.
a 9 to 5, but he's still doing something on the side. Like, what do you think made them inspired or brave enough to do something like that?
I think because my parents, and I believe I get this from myself, my parents always was givers. And, it is five of us with me and my siblings. But also, I had way more siblings than that. As I was growing up as a child, my parents was a foster home. They would take children in, and we had many children come into that home. And eventually, my parents' home became a behavioral home because they would send the worst of the worst children there, thinking that these children cannot be helped or quote unquote, like they say, fixed. And that was not true. So my parents' home always was the home in the neighborhood. If you knew someone that was hungry, you could just come to TT parents' house, knock on the door. My parents gonna let you in. They're gonna feed you. If you don't have nowhere to go that night, you're gonna sleep there. I just always was around it. So I think with the responsibility of just wanting to help people, they knew that they had to do whatever they had to do to, make it happen.
Make it happen. That's incredible. And now you're in the insurance industry, which a lot of people really love that industry because a lot of times they say that they want to help people. And do you
Mhm.
think that that a legacy that your parents really built of helping people, is that sort of maybe what sparked the interest in you in insurance? I mean, you can make money doing a lot of things, right? But like, why specifically did this industry stand out to you?
Originally, when I started, like I said, I was just doing it. My mom and them asked me. I did like it. I always had a 9 to 5. It wasn't really a big thing to me. When my son was born in 2019, and then after realizing he had developmental issues, now we know it to be him living with autism and ADHD. I knew I had to do something different. I was an
Mm.
overnight night audit manager to the owners. I was working shifts. I was only averaging 2 hours of sleep. And I honestly just prayed to God. I couldn't do it. I felt like I was dying inside. And I felt like I had mommy guilt. I could not, I would come home from work and I would do whatever I can do for him before he entered into school. But I was so exhausted. I was not giving him the quality of my time that I should. And I said, this has to end. And I just kept praying and praying, and God kept putting the license. He kept reminding me that I have this insurance license. And I said, you know what? I'm really, really going to put my all into this. And I walked away. I walked away from my 9 to 5. Everyone thought I was crazy. How can you do that? You're a single mom. You have to feed your child. But I knew I saw something bigger. My
Mm.
vision was different. And because they could not see my vision because it was too big for them, I knew what I was going to do and I set my mind to it. And I walked away scot free, came and I said, let's do this. And I was like, whatever you tell me to do, I'm going to be coachable to my upline. Whatever you say I need to stop, I'm going to stop it. I said, I need you to pour into me because I need to be able to do something for my son, make a legacy for him.
Mm.
So when I am no longer here, and that's what really pushed me. Now, as far as what kept me here, along with my son, because he is my why, was the fact in 2024, I lost 10 family members.
Whoa.
10. The last to leave was my father's best friend, which was like my uncle Tony. He passed, he was the last one to pass away, and that was the day after Thanksgiving. So that year was a very hard year. And that was the first year that I decided to really take this thing serious and to know that I had people in my family that I had went to and was pleading with them to get a policy. And they did not get a policy, to only end up with the family being at odds, people having to come up with money. My aunt, unfortunately, having to sell dinners, my cousin not being buried for over a month. I mean, it was just a lot of things. And
Yeah.
I knew at that very moment, that year, when everything was happening, I was like, this is my destiny. This is my purpose to be here. Who do you know buried 10 family members in 1 year?
That's wild. 10, I mean, one or two is enough to devastate someone. And we see it. So being in the financial services industry or financial solutions industry, you see it. You see the difference between people that had the coverage and people that didn't. The people that, call you after they get a diagnosis looking for a policy and you have to say to them, oh my goodness, I can't help you, right? Because it's like trying to get insurance when the house is already on fire. That's just not the way it works. And I always say to people, I hope that the living benefits or the critical illness part of this policy, or if it's a term policy, I hope you never get paid out on this. But God forbid that you need to. Sure as heck hope that you have something. For me, that's deeply important as part of a responsible adult. I never want to leave a bill behind. I never want my children to suffer, but we both have kids that have autism. And I work with a lot of families in the disability community, helping them navigate supports, helping them navigate how to plan financially for the long term of caring for someone that has needs like autism or Down syndrome or
Mhm.
any of these other disabilities that people have. And I see a lot of parents that are really scared of what is going to happen to my child after I leave this earth, right? If you have a child with lifelong needs, there will come a time when that child still needs support and you are leaving this earth. And God forbid that's early, but even if, let's say you're 80 years old and your son is 60 years old or whatever those numbers are, there's still this gap, and there's such an there's just no great options in the world to
Mhm.
support people through that. We see at least where I am, we have long wait lists for support for kids. We have not enough care facilities. We just don't have options, and we put a lot of money in early intervention. Once early intervention is over, it's like, and now you're supposed to be fixed, and then good luck, or those
Yeah.
kids age out of the school system, and then good luck, right? There's not a lot of the next steps. And I don't know if this was for you, but for me, we were struggling with my son has a later diagnosis. We were struggling at the time with a lot of phone calls throughout the day. Come pick him up from school. Come pick him up for school. We were having school like aversion. It was taking us hours to get into school. My mental health was a mess. I was like, I can't keep doing this. And so to have a job, I absolutely would have been fired. At the time, my husband and I had an automotive business, so I had some flexibility, but it
Mhm.
wasn't the same because I was actively working in that business. And so I might be working or helping like a client at the desk, and I would get a phone call and I'd have to
Mhm.
leave like in the middle of that conversation. And that's not the way that you can run a business, right? And it just hit me so much like what am I going to do? And how am I going to navigate this? I needed something that was flexible. I needed something that was high income, and I needed something that could really support my son's needs. But you said something about building legacy, and I think at least we're both in the same company. We're both with
Mhm.
Experior, and what stood out for me was being able to actually build a legacy, because commission is one thing, and yes, in insurance or finance, you can make really good commission, really high income. It ends just like a job. With our company, we can really build something that is a legacy. We own our business. We have something called a legacy program, where when you reach different levels in the company will continue to pay your family if you die, become retired, disabled. And I looked at that and I was like, I can build my child a lifelong income with this business. I can't do that anywhere else. So number one, I was like, I need to make enough money that I can put enough away so that I can retire, but also I have to think potentially about my child's retirement, right? And what does that look like, and the care needs and all that kind of stuff. Was that part of your shift from like, hey, this is just a super part-time thing, and okay, now I need to take this seriously?
Yeah, absolutely. Everything you said, because initially, prior to me, maybe even like 3 months prior to the year that I decided that I was going to do this and walk away, I had someone that was in my previous company, my practice company, said, "Hey, won't you come over to this particular company?" I went there for a couple of months. My cousin, this is so, I'm telling you, everything happens for a reason. My cousin, I have family in Canada. She called
Oh,
me and said, "I want you to watch, I want you to come on this meeting, and I want you to see it because you're in the insurance industry." And it was Xperia. But because I had spoken to my previous upline and he said, "Well, won't you come over here?" And I was like battling and I was like, all right. And I went in that company. So this was meant to be. It was destined, because
mhm.
the day that I had to go to their opportunity meeting was her opportunity meeting for me to see. I watched half of Xperia. and then I went to the other one. And it was just something that stuck with me with the legacy. And I really didn't understand it at
Yeah.
first. And once I saw that, I was like, it's a no-brainer. It is a
Exactly.
no-brainer. That other company cannot offer the legacy program what Xperia offers.
Mhm.
And that is my son's true legacy. That
Yeah.
is it right there. All I have to do is do what I'm doing right now, putting in the work, putting in the time, educating families, letting them know about what I do. It's not about selling. Talk to the people. Don't think about the profit, and it will
Yeah.
come. And that is what I'm doing right now. And as far as like my special needs parents, I am a parents advocate. So I do financial literacy workshops, even for the school, the board of education. And I help my parents with receiving resources now because I've done it for the last 6 years. So I try to help the newer parents to navigate through that and also let them know and keep them aware, make them aware that, listen, hey, you may think that your child don't need a policy or insurance. It's so many things that comes with these policies. Don't think about the old way. You got to open your mind up and
Yeah.
expand it and think outside. These policies are doing wonderful things for us and for our children. And when we have children with special needs, we really, really have to be on top of it because before they're even being diagnosed, we need to have our children covered at day 1 or day 15 with some companies, right? As soon as you can get them covered, you get those children covered. You educate yourself with your agent to teach you about special needs trust and
Yeah.
different things like that. So we have family that will, love and care. I have a lot of family that will take my son in at the drop of a dime. But one thing I know for sure, and two is for certain, they are not going to be able financially to take care of my son if I
Hmm.
left today or tomorrow. I need to have it in place for them so I don't leave the financial burden. And then all they have to do is just love on my child, and that's it. So that
Yes.
was absolutely the legacy was one of the biggest things, hand down, Colleen, why I ended up at Xperia amongst so many
Yeah.
other wonderful things about this
Me
company.
too. Me too. You said something there about getting a policy on a child at 15 days. And sometimes people, I was just in a discussion recently about this, and they were so confused about why would you get a policy on a child? Like a child doesn't make money, and a life insurance is to replace income. And I got a policy, thank God, on my children before I was in the industry. I did get a policy on my kids when they were like, I don't know, maybe a couple months old. I was a big believer in that. Now, the person did not sell me at the time a policy with living benefits, or in Canada called critical illness. And if they had included that in my policy, when we received that autism diagnosis, we would have actually gotten paid out on that policy, which of course would have, helped with support needs and all of those kinds of things. But I want to hear from you, like, why do you feel like it's so important to insure our kids, and how much insurance do you think a kid should have?
Okay, so I believe that everyone, no matter what the age is, should always be covered. I am more with having younger kids in that 15-day period now that I see the situation that I was in with my son. Thank God I got him covered before he was diagnosed. It is
Yes,
carriers out there right now. I have clients that do not cover these babies automatically. They don't even have to be on a medication. Just
correct.
the simple fact that they are diagnosed with ODD,
Correct.
ADD, autism, just that
They're
one word
out. They're
right
out of the
there,
game.
they
Out
are
of the game.
automatic
Automatic. Out of the
out of
game.
the game
Yeah.
automatically. So say now, if you thought or you think, oh, my child should just be covered, when they become an adult or a teenager, but had you had this child covered young for as much as you can possibly have him covered or her for when she's younger, you won't have to worry about that. And especially if it's the products that we use that have those living benefits, because then now if once the child is diagnosed and you need to use those living benefits and the doctor deemed that child critical or chronic, yes, you have it there to assist your child, because taking care of a special needs child is not it is financially straining sometimes. Even getting them into summer camps and different things. If you don't get programs that will take you in and give you maybe discounts, or if you don't get a scholarship from the school or the city that you live in, it is very, very hard. And it's different levels. So, my son, he's high functioning, but I have friends that have children that are really high on the spectrum. So, and one of her children was not able to get covered, and the
Mhm.
other one was. She has two kids that is special needs. And I felt so bad for her. And I was just like trying and trying and trying to get her covered. And I said, you know what, we're going to try again. We're going to do this. I was like really researching this thing, and it broke my heart
Yeah.
to know that our children cannot be covered just from this one diagnosis because they're special needs. And I don't think that that's fair. So, I am on like a crusade. I said I'm gonna start my nonprofit, name it after my son Colleen. He's named after me. His name is Takeria, and I'm gonna call it Takari's Way. And my goal is to implement or put things in place. I don't care if it become a bill, a law, whatever it needs to be, but I don't think that any child just from a diagnosis should not be able to be covered with life insurance.
Yeah, it's something that, especially with autism or ADHD, for example, is a spectrum, right? And some kids are severely impacted and some aren't. And I think, the reason is because they also have a higher instance of comorbidities. We know that things like suicide, even mental health issues are higher in these populations. And, there's a lot of different reasons for that. I think a lot of the support in the past has been probably traumatic and detrimental to the kids, and we're learning and continuing to grow in that area. But if you look at it right now, 1 in 30 people in the US right now, 1 in 36 people as of 2020, and it's always rising, are diagnosed with autism. So that's about 3.2% of the population is identified by age 8. And of course, I see it all the time. Like people, their kids get diagnosed and then they're like, oh, okay, well, what about me? And so we're seeing, even more adults get diagnosed and things like that. And there's a lot of different reasons for that. But that's why I believe in having a policy so early, is because we never know what's going to happen. And it's just like your house on fire. You can't get coverage for your house being on
Mhm.
fire after it's on fire. We have to put this stuff in place. And thank God there's policies to fit every budget. Never would I want someone to overextend themselves for sake of a policy, but also when you can have policies with living benefits, with if you don't use it, it has cash value growing in it. There's lots of different options depending on a family's budget. And I'm so thankful that someone showed me that before I was even in the industry. God forbid, even if your child doesn't have a diagnosis, God forbid if they did pass away, I need time off work, right? So yes, my child doesn't have income, but I do. And I'm not going to be going back to work a month later, a week later. And so first and foremost, I wanted a policy to make sure if something happened to my kid, that us as a family could take the time required to, grieve and heal. And then number two, I was like, wow, it can grow cash value and all of these great things. And so my children all have policies, and that'll give them a head start in their retirement. And me as a parent, I wanted to be able to do that. Things are more expensive than ever. And so I'm like, if I could do anything to give my kids a head start, I want to do that. And then add in this layer of possibly having longer term support needs, depending on the child, that might be really a lot of support, or it might be, a lot of times I hate that label of higher functioning, because a lot of times people don't understand that they still have these support needs or gaps. They might be able to appear like they're able to do everything, but maybe they won't be able to have a full-time job because of whatever reason. Maybe it's too overwhelming. Maybe they need support like to fill that gap. Maybe they would be great working at a pet store, but they're not going to be able to necessarily survive financially doing that. And so if we can help fill that gap, that was my goal with it for my kids, both for building this business. I'm like, I need to make a lot of money to be able to support my family, to be able to support them in the future, and to be able to give them a head start. And I think with diagnosis or without, but especially I see it all the time, parents are just truly worried, like, what does this look like for my kids once I leave the earth? And so being able to be in insurance made it possible for me to have a flexible enough schedule to be able to do what I needed to do with my kids, but also to be able to build an income and a legacy where I know that they're going to be taken care of. When you were in the industry for 15 years, though, I was in a different company before I moved to Experior as well. And I really thought that the company that I was going to be with for the rest of my life. I don't have bad things to say about them. The people that I worked with were good people. They were really truly trying to help people. They had this mission of making
Mhm.
sure that people were learning about money because we don't learn about it in school. We just go out and make a bunch of mistakes and try and fix it later. And we had this mission and this heart to serve truly. And so I thought I was going to be there for the forever. I just thought, this is as good as it gets. There's no better opportunity, and I just got to make this work. But for me, it just wasn't working. It just wasn't fitting together. Were you finding that at your last company, or what was the circumstance behind you like kind of thinking maybe I need to make a change in the company that I'm working with?
The person who originally had brought me into the company became like family to me. I've known him, I still know her over about 20 years,
Yeah.
right? We were really, really good friends. And I think for a lot of times before I made the decision to really just separate myself, it wasn't the culture. The culture was great. I love my teammates, my sidelines, downlines, uplines. But if I really had to say, I would say that it was more so, I think, more of a lack of mentorship,
Mm,
right? Coming into this industry and being new and not knowing what it's about, if you don't have good mentorship to really show you, it's not about your trainer, because your trainer could just be someone they put you with to show you the product, show you how to do the applications. No, I'm talking about a real mentor. I did not have that. I had a friendship with him,
right.
but I didn't have a mentorship. And I believe that's what was lacking for me. I said, you know what? This is not working. We're great as friends, but for you to really see the good, the bad, the ugly things that I need to shift, change, different things. I didn't think he had that mentorship to really guide me and get me there and keep me focused and show me how I'm building, what's my weak points, what's my strong points. It was just a lot of that. So I knew that I had to make that decision to leave, because once I said I left my 9 to 5, and once I said, okay, this is it, I could not play no more. And what hurt me the most, because I'm such a giving person, because I'm such a loyal person, I really had to make that decision, Colleen. And let me tell you, tears were shed. I had
Mm,
to make that decision to be more loyal to myself into that business and into
yeah.
that friendship,
Yeah.
because it wasn't working. I was showing up. I was doing what I needed to do, but it wasn't working. It was a missing puzzle piece. So
Yeah.
we couldn't connect. So I had to leave because I depleted my savings, taking care of my son those months, trying to get acclimated, trying to get this business up and running. I had no income. I had no time to play. I had no time for distractions. I had to be laser focused. And I needed somebody that was going to see when I needed to be like, hey, TT, you're not focused. Get focused. Don't get distracted. What are you doing? How many appointments you have? Just to keep me on that path when they saw me rearing away. So, yeah, it was the mentorship. And I think that's very important in this business.
Yeah, it's really important and knowing yourself enough that you need to make a change. And it doesn't make the old team or even the old company bad. It just means that it isn't the right fit. And we see so many people coming here. For me, it was just a combination of the compensation model. At least from where I was able to move and immediately make like double the amount of money for the same amount of sales. That made the huge difference between like me being able to make this like, hey, my family is good and okay on my own pen. It's called like the own business that I was doing, the sales I was doing, and like not. That made it a viable option. And then just all of the other things, but it was a struggle. Like I really personally had to. There was a lot of prayer. There was a lot of like just giving it up at that moment, and I felt called to do it. And it doesn't mean that. Again, the team I worked with before, they were good people doing good work. It just wasn't the right fit, right? It just wasn't the right environment. It wasn't the right opportunity. And when you were doing that, like, what was one of the first like signs or thoughts to yourself? Like usually, at least for me, it was like this like unraveling almost. Was it like a big moment that you were like, I got to do something different? Or was it like a lot of different whispers or like what was going in your head during that time frame when you were thinking maybe sort of kind of should I look somewhere else?
No, it was like right up in my face. It was like let me. The only thing that had me contemplating leaving was the friendship, right?
Mhm.
But other than that, I knew I had to leave. It was just like a burning desire. I didn't. It didn't feel. I just knew it wasn't a feeling like, oh, should I go? Should I stay? Maybe we can. No, I was like, I have to go, and I know I have to do it. It's sad, but I have to go. This is not working for me. The compensation also wasn't working for me. Coming from a 9 to 5 and making really good money and knowing that, okay, I get a constant paycheck every single week and I know that I'm going to have money to feed my child and to go into, this industry and saying, okay, this is compensation now. This is a whole nother ball game. This is where champions are really made because listen, you got to be a strong person to be able to get through the highs and the lows. So when I knew this, I said that compensation is not going to be able to carry me. That is not going to help me. I am not going to be able to pay my bills. I'm not going to be able to take care of my son as a single mother. And it wasn't just the compensation. Like I said, it wasn't just that. It was the mentorship. And then on top of that, literally, Colleen, I was like, if you want to say, like you mentioned, unraveling, like I knew it inside. And that was just, I could just feel it. I'm talking about some days just being nauseous, like
Oh,
just that
yes,
feeling
yes.
you get when you know you have to do something and it's like scary or the butterfly feeling. Yeah. And so I knew I just had to make that decision and say, yes, I'm out of here. I'm going, I'm 100% in.
I mean, kudos to you. I think there's so many people that are listening right now that are feeling that. And it's not necessarily like if they're in insurance and the company they're with and they need to make a change, it's like maybe they're in a different career and they're being called to do something else. Maybe it's they're in a relationship and they know that they shouldn't be in that relationship, yet still another day goes by, another month goes by, and all of a sudden we're celebrating another anniversary, right? So many people we just get so used to the known that the unknown is really just something that most people won't walk into. And like that journey is like that is rising through, right? We have to rise through. Is it easy to leave? Is it easy to make a change? No. But when you know it, it doesn't go away. It doesn't, ignoring it doesn't make it better. If you could go back and talk to
Mhm.
the version of you who was struggling the most, whether in business or through your journey, of leaving work or with your child, just like what would you go back on that worst day? Because I'm sure there was a lot of hard days, right? Yes, you're now at this
Yes.
pinnacle of success. But I'm sure there was a lot of days or a lot of moments that you were struggling, that you were thinking, Takira, honestly, girl, what
Mhm.
are you doing? And especially when you leave your job and everyone around you is saying, "Are you insane?" What would you go back and say to that person? Like, what got you through that?
I would tell them to never give up on yourself, to never allow people to put their limited beliefs on you. Believe in yourself more than anybody else would. Because honestly, my why, yes, which is my son that kept me going, but I had something else that kept me going because I said, you know what, I'm gonna do this. They think that they're gonna listen. I'm very competitive. I will compete. I'm very competitive, right? And I said, you know what, I cannot allow people to think that I'm not a great mother. I will not let nothing psych me out to make me feel bad, to give me mommy guilt. I know what I set out to do, and I said I'm gonna do it. And I said, if I could get up every day and bust my tail at a job for someone else
Yes.
family because I'm building their business, then I could get up every day. And let me tell you, for anybody that's watching, I don't want you to think that I never had these bad days. I had really, really bad days. Really, I'm talking about days that I would cry because I knew I didn't have money and I'll just figure it out. Days where I was just like, I don't know if I could do this, that I was even putting negativity, speaking it into existence.
Mm,
I was doing all of these things that I know I should not do. And what I had to do, I had to get back and start building my mind. You have to, even if it's not this industry, just in life, period. What got me through are my self-development book, listening to other people that been through this already, that successful, hearing their stories, seeing where they came from. That's what kept me motivated, making sure I stay in proximity of good people, like-minded people that really want to see me win. My upline, Leo, my coach, Martirolia, like having those people around me helped me through it. But was I still sad? Yes, but I have to tell that old Takeria, if I could say it to it now, girl, do not give up and keep going. I don't care how dark it is. I don't care how sad it may seem. I don't care if you got to cry it out for a couple of days to get it off your chest, to get it off your heart. Guess what? You ain't dead. You ain't dying. God still lets you open your eyes and plant your feet. You got another day to make it right, to fix it, and to keep pushing. That's like the book. I love this book, My 3 Feet from Gold. I reference this book all the time. And that is what I was having. I was having a 3 feet from gold moment on different occasions. Every time I felt like I was getting closer, the worst thing, whoo, come and knock me down. I'm like, okay, all right. And I said, I must be on to something big. I must be right there. I must be at the tip of the iceberg. I just got to dig one more shovel. I just got to get it out. And it's going to be right there for me. So I had to keep going, Colleen. That fight, that fiery passion in me just kept me going every day.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So I heard some things in there. Number one, you didn't give up. Number two, yes, you struggled, but you decided that this was the only option. You surrounded yourself with people that would lift you up and keep you going on your dark days. And you also inputted, you fed yourself with these books and listening to good stuff and making sure that your input was good. 3 Feet from Gold was the book that you referenced, right? We cannot usually do it ourselves, right? And also thankfulness. You're like, hey, I open my eyes. I'm here for another day. Is it perfect? No. That is what life is. Life is not perfect, right? We just got to keep going and keep going and keep going. And that journey, that active rising through, that is, I think, so much of what we're meant to be here for, right? If it was just all perfect, then we could have just stayed in heaven. We wouldn't need to come to earth and go through all the stuff,
Yes.
right? There is a reason for all of this. And so I love what you said. There's so
It's
many nuggets in there of like how to continue to fight another day. Yes.
And you know what? You know what, Colleen? I think that also when I left my 9 to 5, I remember I don't have the book here with me, but I had a book and I wrote down, I said, I would never, ever, ever, ever work another 9 to 5. I had made a commitment to myself. And a lot of people say, well, I'm committed, I'm consistent, I'm this. No, a commitment I made to myself. Commitment to me is that you keep your eyes on the prize. You get to where you need to be. The task at hand has to be completed under no circumstances. It's not just about you, it's bigger than you. So when I made that commitment for myself, I was making that commitment for myself, for my family, for my son, for my community, for my special needs parents. I was making it for so many other people, whether they knew it or not, because I was committed to me, and being committed to myself is being committed to the things that I love and I attach myself to. So when I said I was not going back to a 9 to 5 and I said I am going to make this work, I meant what I said and I had to do what I said. It's a saying in Jersey that we go, your word is your bond. And
Mm,
my word was my bond to myself. And I knew I
yes.
had to, and
Woo!
it was just about commitment.
How many people, though, their word is not their bond, even to themselves? Actually, it's usually one of the first people that we let down is ourselves, right? We say that we're going to do something, we say we're going to work out tomorrow, and we don't, and we break that bond, and we break that bond, and we break that bond, and then suddenly we don't feel like we can even trust ourselves and our own word. And
Yes,
there is power in making a decision so solidly that there is no other option. And I believe when you do that, that is when you find the success. That is when you find the breakthrough. I always went back to the saying of if not this, then what? Is there hard days in this business? Yes. Is there hard days, moments? Yes. Number one, though, I'm not digging ditches, right? Like I'm not gonna die me doing what I'm doing. It's
yes,
okay. But number two is like, if not this, then what? A 9 to 5? No, thank you. A brick and mortar business with rent and payroll and inventory and all of the costs and everything that comes in with that. No, thank you. Not doing that again. I looked at real estate. I was like, okay, that's okay. But if like I have to take time on the spur of the moment with my kids for something and real estate deal needs to be done, I can't push that off, right? Like if I'm supposed to have a movie night with my kids and someone wants to write a deal, I can be like, sorry, let's do it tomorrow. And then they lose the deal, right? And so I always go back to this thought
yes.
of like, if not this, then what? And so people listening, they might not be in insurance, but there's probably something in their life where you've got to say, this is hard, but I'm choosing this hard because if I don't choose this hard, then what the alternative is not something that I'm willing to sign up for. And so I think that's so powerful. I'm so proud of you and your journey. I know that you're helping lots of people not only get protection and get their financial life in order, but you are teaching other people how to build a business in insurance. And more people than ever need ways to earn extra income, need ways to break free from their 9 to 5, need ways to build a legacy like you are giving them that opportunity. And I'm just so grateful and honored to be in business with you. I'm so grateful that you shared with our audience today because if only one person gets what they need so that they can keep digging that shovel for another day, maybe they're 3 feet from their gold. And if you gave that gift to someone that they can go and keep fighting for another day, I really appreciate you doing that for them, and I know that they appreciate it as well. Is there anywhere, Takira, if someone wants to connect with you more, where is the
Oh,
best place for
thank
them to
you,
connect with
Dr.
you? I think my internet cut out. Where's the
Okay, so
best
you
place for
guys, you
them?
can find me on, you can hear me?
I'm good to go. You just
You can
froze on
hear
my
me?
side for a
Okay.
minute. I can hear you though.
Yes, you okay. All right, perfect. Okay, so you guys, you can find me all on Facebook. I do live videos, this conversation with TT. My company name on Instagram and TikTok is DCS, Diverse Coverage Solutions. You'll find all my information out there. You can come hit me up, even if you want to just come on conversation with TT and just let's just talk about it. Let's just
I
chit
love
chat.
it.
Just let me know and I'll let you come up. I am going to soon start this series where I am going to do Women in Finance Wednesdays. So I'm getting that together. So I'll have women, maybe not even just in the financial, the insurance industry, but all women that I know that's in finance and have them come up and just chit chat, tell a little bit about their journey, how they got started, and different things like that. You can also always find me at 862-214-5064. You can give me a call, you can text me, and I'll hit you back up if you want to talk. So I do want to say this, Colleen. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. It was an honor. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate that. And this was wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. I love you. I love your story. I'm so, like I said, I'm so happy and proud to have you in this industry. We need more people in this industry helping people, but in general, in business, we need people sharing their story because everyone has dark days. Everyone has moments when they want to quit, and they just need to know that they too can rise through. They too can get to the other side. And like I said, some of my darkest moments, it was people sharing their story that got me through, and now we're paying it forward. So thank you so much for helping me do that. And I hope that everyone goes and follows her. I will link her in the show notes and continue rising through, y'all.